Hi.
Alright, hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're brand new here, my name is Nikki and this is my book nook, and a few things to address up front. First of all, I'm growing out my bangs. I say that, yet talk to me in 2 weeks. I'm not holding myself to it. I'm already at this awkward stage where I want to scream. I've had bangs for a year now, and so now it feels like, you know, I never really had an issue with my forehead, but suddenly I'm like, am I Megamind? Perhaps, I don't know. That aside, today we are doing something that I have been putting off for so many months now. I've been telling myself since September of last year, once we get into the new year, once it's 2024, I am tackling this bookshelf. I need to declutter. I need to reorganize. I have books just like sitting all over my apartment in various stacks. I am kind of going through it in general recently. I was about to say things, but it's just it. I'm going through all of it, life. I've seen a lot of book creators as of recent kind of posting different videos, whether it's YouTube, TikTok, anything in between, talking about how like their book tastes are just sort of changing. And I feel like I very strongly relate to that. I feel like a lot of us can relate to the fact that, you know, I've been a reader my whole life, but there has been like a reading craze the last few years, honestly, ever since the pandemic started. Like, reading took off, book talk took the world by storm, and I feel like there were so many books that came out that we all loved. We just got really fully back into reading again, and you know, we found these authors we love, these styles of books, like we were introduced to all these tropes, and then like reality has kind of set in recently that it's been like 4 years since then. And in 4 years, I have gone from being a 22-year-old to a 26-year-old. And frankly, I think my tastes are just changing a little bit. Like, I say that, but also, I don't know. The simple fact is there have been a lot of books over the last few months, honestly, the last year, that just didn't really hit for me. And books that I read in the past that like, I look at them on my shelf now and I'm like, it was a fun time. I enjoyed it, but simply, I would never read that again. And I don't know, like, when I envisioned myself making this video, I was gonna say, it's a new year. I just feel like I want to declutter, but now it's March. So I don't really have like an excuse of like, oh, it's a new year, but I'm growing out my bangs, okay? It's a new era, so therefore, I need to handle this. I need to get rid of so many books. It's just something that I want to do. There are so many books sitting on this shelf that, like I said, I've read before and I just know I will never read again. But also I have books that have been just collecting dust on this shelf for going on 4, 5, maybe even more years. Like, there are books that I bought like back in 2020 that I really thought in the moment, I was like, I'm gonna get into this. Like, I was just in such a fantasy mood. Really, like, fantasy was my first love, like YA type of fantasy. That's really what I grew up on. That's what I loved. And I'm all about never say never. I'm trying not to make like, what's that called? A statement that you make where it's like forever, like an indefinite statement, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm trying not to like say I will never read fantasy again, because I certainly will. Like, I'm sure it will come back to me at some point, but like YA fantasy, I think we're a little bit done with. I say that, I'm gonna read Throne of Glass. I know that's gonna have to happen for me, but I have so many books on my shelf that like 7th grade Nikki, 8th grade Nikki, 12-year-old Nikki would have died for, but like 26-year-old Nikki, she's simply not gonna reach for that book anytime soon. So I think it's just time for them to go to a home that will appreciate them. I want to donate a lot of my books. There's also this bookstore here in Texas called Half Price Books that lets you go and sell your used books, and then you can turn around and spend that money again in the bookstore, which I always tend to do. But yeah, in this case, I really think it's just gonna be like a big declutter kind of moment. So yeah, I just thought I'd film this. I thought it'd be kind of fun. I'm going to obviously get rid of some books. I'm going to reorganize. It should be a fun little moment. So I think I'm just gonna kind of go shelf by shelf, and then once I get through like decluttering a shelf, I kind of talk through the books with you guys, tell you, you know, a little bit about them, why I'm getting rid of them. Again, for the most part, like, I'm obviously not trying to offend anyone in this video. If I get rid of a book that you absolutely loved, power to you. But like I said, I'm being strict here. Like, if I will not reread it, or if I have not yet picked it up, I will not read it, it's going away. It needs to go away, because I just, yeah, that's where we're at. So anyways, guys, I just have to tell you, like, what triggered this video, like, happening today is because I got this book in the mail today. It is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. And I'm gonna make a whole video talking about this, so I'm not gonna talk about it here, but I'm just, like, when I say my reading tastes are changing, this is what I mean. I listened to the audiobook of this. This is like a book I've known about for a long time. It's a very well-known book, and it's just so different. And wow, I sound so like, I'm not like most girls. I read Donna Tartt. That's not what I'm trying to go for here, but I just feel like I'm in this era of like this year, and this is not me saying like, oh, I'm gonna give up reading like my spicy little books. I don't think I'm ever gonna give that up, so don't worry, but I just wanna like explore some new types of books this year, some new like styles of reading. Like this book just like, it felt like it tapped into a different part of my brain. I'm gonna make a whole video on it, but like if you watch Saltburn, if you were a person that watched Saltburn and you weren't like sitting there with your jaw on the floor like shocked by it, you more so were like enamored by it, and you're like, I don't know what kind of crack is like in this story, but I want to experience more of that. Just like the cinematography of it all, like the story, just all the plot twists, the way it all comes together. If it like tickled your brain in a very special way, this is a book for you. Like this book reminded me so much of Saltburn, so I just want to read more books like this. I want to read more like literary fiction this year. I want to read some classics, honestly. I am so in my Little Women era right now. Again, another story for another day. I finally watched Little Women, Greta Gerwig's Little Women. Changed my ever-loving freaking life. It's my favorite movie of all time. I've watched it so many times, I've bawled my eyes out. It's everything to me, so I got the book of that as well. That's sitting on my desk over there. I need to read that. So all of these books coming in, all of this happening is just, I don't have a spot for this on my shelf currently, so that's what's triggering this. Anyways, after this 7-minute introduction, I'm gonna get started, okay? Okay, off to a pretty good start. Just in that first bookshelf alone, 2 massive stacks of books that I'm going to part with. So proud of myself. I'm just like getting in that Marie Kondo mode of like, sparks joy, yes or no, get rid of. So Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. Great thriller, loved it, read it this past year around Halloween time. I just won't reread it. I kind of feel like unless a thriller is like the greatest thing ever and you just like want to go back and catch things you didn't catch the first time, I probably won't reread it. So getting rid of that. A couple of Jennifer Hartman books. My cat is over here interfering with things. So I love Jennifer Hartman. I really am a fan of her writing. You guys saw me rave about Still Beating. I stand by everything I said. I thought this book was great, but you will probably remember from that video, very dark story, very depressing. It's just, I enjoyed it. I read it in like one day, but I do not see myself picking this book up again, so I will give it to a home of someone that hasn't read it yet. And then the Heart, I think this is called the Heart Song Duet, unless I'm literally making that up. This just didn't hit for me. I read the first book, didn't love it, and then I got like 2 chapters into the second book in the duet, and I was like, I'm just not vibing with this, so going to pass it on. Another book, again, these are books that I liked, but I just won't reread. So Brutal Obsession by S. Mastery. This is a dark hockey romance. Great, very spicy, very dark. It's not going to be for everyone. There's a lot of like triggers in it if you need to look into that, but yeah, liked it, read it. I ended up starting the second book in the series and I wasn't vibing with it, so I don't really plan to continue it, but yeah, I just think I'm gonna pass this one on because I think it served its purpose. You guys know Taylor Jenkins Reid is probably my favorite author. Like, I think she has to be my favorite author. She's changed my life. I'm not even being dramatic. One True Loves. I recommend this book to everyone. I think everyone should read this in their life, but this has been sitting on my shelf for like a year now since I read it, and just looking at it, I just know I won't reread it. I've also like already recommended this book to everyone that I know. Like my mom read this copy, like my best friend read this copy. I just don't feel like I have a need for it anymore, so I'm gonna pass it on and free up space for more books. Another author that I love, that you guys know that I love, Penelope Douglas. the queen of spice for me. I'm just obsessed with Penelope Douglas. I always have been, always will be. I'm excited for her new releases coming up, but these are 3 books of hers. My cat is eating food. They always do this when I turn on the camera and it pisses me off. One of them is sitting right there just out of view and the other one is eating food. But anyways, just 3 books of hers that I loved them when I read them. Actually, this one I did not love at all. Falls Boys, this is her latest series, the Hellbent series. Not for me. I don't think I'm going to continue it. This book was very rough for me to get through. It just didn't hit for me. So no need to keep it on my shelf. My cat is now messing up my ring light. I'm trying to be a YouTuber here. It's really so hard. Birthday Girl, love it. Age gap. Boyfriend's dad sort of story. Fantastic. I won't reread it. I read it years ago. I liked it. It was a fun moment, but gonna pass it on. Same thing with Tris Six Venom. I loved this. It was a sapphic romance. Really great. She's actually writing a spin-off of this that is coming out later this year that I am so excited for. I can't even begin to explain. It's about the girl in this story's brothers. She has 5 brothers and that book is called 5 Brothers. So very pumped for that. But this book, I just know I won't reach for again. So just going to pass it on. And then these are honestly, oh, except for this one. Okay, look. I was there in 2012, 2013 with everyone else. After by Anna Todd. I read it. You guys know I'm the biggest Harry Styles girl that ever lived, okay? I don't need to have this on my bookshelf anymore. Like, I simply don't. I'm not gonna reread it. I've read it 3 times, I think. It's it's time to part ways. I got rid of the rest of the series because I never read past this book, except for the first time, obviously, but it's just had its moment. The movies are all out. I think the phase is gone. It's time to move on. And then these are just a bunch of like YA fantasy books that, except for one, hold on. Wolf Song by TJ Klune. I won't get into it. I talked about this in another video. I was so excited for this book, but it ended up just giving me creepy vibes. It's like Twilight, but it's all werewolves, and it's kind of like an imprinting situation, like the Renesmee Jacob situation, but it's like this guy and this younger boy that he meets when he's like 10 and he's like 16 or 17 when they meet, and the younger boy's a werewolf and he sort of like imprints on him, and nothing happens till they're older, but I could not get over the fact that they met when he was like 10 and he was like an older teenager, and it just really, it gave me the ick and I could not get past it. I wanted to. The cover is stunning, but it just, you know, when you get to a point where you're uncomfortable and you just can't continue, that's how I felt about this book. So passing it on. And then these, I have literally nothing to say about them. I just never read them and I just know I'm not gonna pick them up. Wrath and Dawn. It's a YA fantasy. Nevermore, YA fantasy I won't read. Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. Also bought this like years ago. No, I won't read it. Shiver. These both I got from Half Price Books. Fallen, this had its moment. This was like in the Twilight era. I never read it. I thought I might, so that's why I picked it up. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, it looks kind of good. I'm like, should I give it a try? I just think that we're past this era in life, you know? I don't know. I think, let me know. Let me know. I can pull it out of the stack, but, and then Shiver, I don't know what this is about, so yeah. That was shelf number 1. I was gonna get rid of these, but I decided to keep them. Survive the Night by Riley Sager was the thriller I really, really loved, and I'm gonna keep it because it's one that I would recommend to a friend. It's one that I'd let a friend borrow, so I'm gonna keep it on my bookshelf. And then For the Wolf by Hannah Witten is another, like, I think it's a YA fantasy, but something about it just like grabs my attention and I feel like I might read it, so I'm gonna hold on to it. So, first shelf done. Okay guys, 3 fat stacks of books just came from this middle shelf. This is really kind of my rom-com shelf, if that's telling you anything about how I'm saying my tastes are changing a little bit. Rom-coms have just become like a rough thing for me in the last year. They either really, really hit or they just like really, really don't. There's a lot of things going on in this middle shelf. Honestly, that's another reason why I made this video in the first place, because this middle shelf is triggering me with how kerfuffled it is that the right word? I don't know, but again, I say rapid fire. I will ramble for multiple minutes, but first of all, from those middle shelves, I'm gonna get rid of my, why am I forgetting what this series is called? Like the Hawthorne Brothers series? What is this called? I can't even remember. By Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Oh, The Inheritance Games. The Inheritance Games series, that's what it was called. Read this series, really loved it. It's a YA sort of like Knives Out-esque kind of moment. I feel like it was like Knives Out meets Gossip Girl a little bit. Really liked it in the moment. I got the hype. The finale book though, wasn't really vibing with, but now she's like writing all these spin-offs and stuff of it, and I'm just kind of out. Like I don't plan to continue, so thought I would pass these on to a good home. They're in very good condition, so I'm gonna get rid of those. I'm gonna kind of run through all the rom-coms as quick as I can. The Roughest Draft by Emily Wibberley and Austin Sigmund Broca. I really love this book. I've recommended this so many times in every like summer book recommendation video I've ever done. It's, in my opinion, I feel like it's a better version of beach read. I'm not a big beach read girl. I know that's a hot take, but yeah, I really love this book, but once again, I just don't see myself rereading it at this point. So that's where I stand on that. When in Rome by Sarah Adams. Very cute, small town kind of romance. Liked it in the moment, would not reread. This is controversial. The next two are controversial. Okay. Do not cue the firing squad. I'm gonna pass on Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I read it in the moment. I enjoyed it. I will not reread it. People We Meet on Vacation is forever staying on my shelf. That is my favorite Emily Henry book still to date. But yeah, I liked it. It was fun. I'm very excited for her next book that is coming out. Funny story, I will be first in line to buy it. I'm an Emily Henry fan. I won't reread Book Lovers, so passing that on. And I feel the same way with Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. I loved this book. I loved it almost as much as I love The Love Hypothesis. I feel like it's super underrated, not talked about enough. But The Love Hypothesis, I just prefer. Like, as time went on, I found myself not thinking about this book as much as I thought I would. And I still, like, if I ever think about Ali Hazelwood, it's The Love Hypothesis. So that one's gonna stay on my shelf, and this one I will go ahead and pass on. I feel the need to overly explain because I'm ready for people to come for my throat, you know? Okay, so here's the thing. I made a hasty little decision when I bought these books. This is the Love Light Farm series by B.K. Borison, and before I even talk about it, I love this series. I truly, truly do. B.K. Borison's series was picked up by a publisher. I think Berkeley publishes her now, and the fourth book in this series is coming out finally this summer. It's been so long, and I am so highly anticipating it, but I panicked whenever she got picked up by a publisher because I adore these covers. These covers like mean so much to me. They're so beautiful. Actually, the girl who designed this cover, her name is Sam Palencia from Ink and Laurel. She is actually my cover designer as well. She designed, I'll just do a little show and tell right now for those of you that don't know. My book, Something Rad. It is an 80s enemies to lovers romance. She designed this book cover, and actually my most recent book, Between the Blue, my hockey romance. Sam from Ink and Laurel designed both of these, so I felt so honored because she designed these covers, and I just adore everything she does. So whenever I found out that the covers were going to be changed for the Love Light Farm series, I panicked and I bought all of them in the moment because I was like, I want these original covers. But the new ones, like, didn't change. They're the same illustrations. It's just like the title font changed and the colors are a little bit brighter. And honestly, I think I like them better for the most part. I don't know, there's parts of these that I like more, but I just know that like when the new book comes out, I'm gonna read it and I'm gonna be so triggered that my covers don't match. And in all honesty, I really like this series. I recommend it. Each one is set in like a different season. So this is the first book. It's obviously set in like winter, around Christmas time. In the Weeds is like the spring book. Mixed Signals is the summer book. This one is my favorite in the series so far. I adore this book. I feel like I would reread it, but I probably wouldn't honestly reread these first two. So anyways, long story short, I'm gonna go ahead and preemptively get rid of these. I'm going to donate them, and then I'm going to read the new one that's coming out. It's called Business Casual. I think it comes out in July. So I'm gonna read that. If I love it, I'll keep it, and then I'll probably get Mixed Signals as well. I'll just see how I feel, but I just know that like regardless, it's gonna bother me now that I know that the illustrations are the same. It's gonna bother me that these don't match. So I'm just gonna donate them is what I'm trying to say. Again, I say rapid fire, I keep on talking. These are all ones, I'm not gonna talk about them. They're just rom-coms that in the moment, they were cute and fun, but I won't reread them. So, A Deal with the Devil by Elizabeth O'Rourke. This is probably my favorite of the ones I'm about to talk about. Read this if you haven't. So good. Such a good rom-com. But yeah, two Lacey Walden books. I loved both of these, The Layover and From the Jump. They're both very like good summary sort of rom-coms, but shall not reread them. And then Mr. Wrong Number by Lynn Painter. Love Lynn Painter. There are 2 of her books that I will not be getting rid of, but this one, again, I know I won't reread it. Better Than the Movies by her, an all-time fave. And then The Do-Over also was super, super cute. They're back here. But this one I won't reread. So I'm kind of like getting hot. Can you guys tell? My face is a little red. And then Tools of Engagement by Tessa Bailey. I did not like the first book in this sort of series, and I just know I don't want to read the second book because it's like a marriage in trouble type of book. Like, I'm just not into it. Like it was being hinted at in the first book. I don't think I'm vibing, so this has been sitting on my shelf for years and I've never reached for it, and I don't really anticipate it happening, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get rid of it. And then controversial, I'm gonna get rid of The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas and The American Roommate Experiment by Elena Armas, because again, I just know that these are hot books. People want them. I enjoyed them when I read them. They're not my favorite, so I'm gonna pass them on. I have The Long Game by her. I haven't read it yet, so I'm gonna keep this on my shelf until I read it, but the other 2, I just know at this point I can pass on. Oh, while I'm over here, I forgot about this. I'm gonna get rid of this too, The Summer of Broken Rules. I started to read this book, couldn't get into it. I read a few chapters and I just like wasn't really vibing, so I'm gonna get rid of this one too. And now, alas, we have the famous Colleen Hoover book stack that I feel like every single book talk girly has or had at one point in their life. Look, it was a moment in time. I enjoyed the ride, but I am getting rid of like pretty much all of these except for, I'm just gonna pick them out right now. Ugly Love, still one of my favorite books of all time. I don't think that will ever change. And then the other 2 are on the bottom here. Verity, still one of my favorite thrillers to ever exist. I'm waiting for them to turn this into a movie. Like, I simply need it to happen, so I'm gonna hang on to this one. This is also always a book that I recommend to people, so want to hang on to this. And this one is definitely like, I don't know that it's a hot take, but it's just like an underrated book that I never see anybody talking about, and I absolutely loved. I think it's one of Colleen Hoover's best books. Layla, loved it. These 3, I definitely could see myself rereading at some point, especially these 2. How are you eating again? Like, how are we so hungry? Also, I kind of get it. So anyways, keeping these 3, the rest of these are going. We've had our time. It is time to say goodbye. Okay, we kind of have chaos occurring over here. This is everything, I think, that I'm getting rid of total. The last couple of stacks here are from this last bookshelf. So first of all, Lore by Alexandra Bracken, perfect example of a book I bought years ago because it's a hardback, and I don't buy hardbacks anymore. I hate them, they take up too much space. This is like a YA Greek mythology, urban fantasy sort of moment. I love Greek mythology, but reading the cover on this, I don't think I'm gonna pick this up, so we're gonna pass on that. Zero Repeat Forever is like a sci-fi book I bought forever ago that I do not think I'm gonna read. The Hush Hush series, this was another kind of moment that happened during the Twilight era that I did not read, and I read the first book. I did a review for this on my channel years ago. I read the first book. I actually liked it, but I have never picked up the rest of the books since, so I feel like that is telling that I didn't like it that much. It's just very 2009. Like, I just think the time has passed. I mean, this guy is hot on this cover. It's like a fallen angel sort of thing. But I just don't think I'm gonna read it. So gonna get rid of that. Colty by Mariana Zapata. Look, I adore Mariana Zapata. I will forever keep The Wall of Winnipeg in me and All Roads Lead Here. I really love her. And I held on to this book for a long time, but it's another one that I don't think I'm gonna reread it, you know? I think that's all there is to it. Love her so much. Another couple of sort of rom-coms. The Ex Talk by Rachel Lynn Solomon. Another one that I really liked. It's a workplace romance, a fake dating sort of situation. Totally recommended. I've talked about it a ton on this channel, but I don't think I'm gonna reread it. And then a couple of more hockey romance. This is another crazy hot take. Okay, Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. Listen, read it, consumed it, enjoyed it. Not a favorite of mine, and also it's another one that it's like the indie version, so it doesn't match like the new books that she's gonna be making, like Wildfire. It doesn't match the rest of them. So if I ever do continue, I think I'm gonna wanna buy the original anyways, but I really don't see it happening. So I'm just gonna pass this on because I don't think I'm gonna read it. And then Consider Me by Becca Mack. These are two of the most beautiful books that I own. Consider Me and Play With Me. I love the look of these, but I did not like Consider Me. I feel like there was no plot to this story whatsoever. I trudged through it, trying so much to love it, and it didn't grip me. So I have had no desire to continue the series, and I just don't plan to. And also she's been picked up by a publisher as well, so these covers have changed anyways, so it's just time to pass them on. And then Fable by Adrienne Young and These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. Guys, tell me if I need to read this. This was another one I bought so long ago. You can tell by the hardback. This one I love just because it's the most beautiful book ever. Like, I love a redhead girl, but yeah, I just don't think I'm gonna read these. So yeah, guys, that is everything. I'm going to quickly, actually, I don't know if I'm gonna reorganize right now. I don't think I feel like it. Hi, I actually did end up reorganizing until like 2 in the morning last night. So I was just gonna give you a quick little once over to show you what I did. I'm not gonna like go through everything, but I'll give you a little, this shelf is the vibes for 2024. But also in my Boys of Tommen era. I said I wasn't gonna do this, so I'm not, but I'm just gonna show you what we did. Kind of a hot mess down here. And then my books, bam, bam, bam. I love how that turned out. And then moving over here, my bestie Morgan's books. And then, yeah, my Jessa Hastings shelf. I love this situation. And then got Bridgerton over here because it felt like it made sense. And these are all the books I'm getting rid of, which is a lot in comparison to the whole shelf. So I'm happy with it. This video is gonna end here. It's 11 o'clock at night, guys. The video is gonna end here. I'll probably reorganize my bookshelf over the next like week or two. And if you guys care, you care, I don't know. I'll probably do like an updated bookshelf tour. I kind of want to do a whole apartment tour. So frankly, I might do that. I don't know. But that's the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And hope you're not mad at me for getting rid of any of your favorite books. Again, not personal. We're just like in a decluttering era. This is a good thing. I am very excited about the types of books that I'm kind of into as of recently, and I'm excited to talk about them with you guys. And yeah, we're always growing here. We're always evolving. It's what it's all about. So anyways, if you watched this far, thank you so much. I love you. Bye.